Could I take this opportunity just to remind you again to please switch off all your handphones or switch them to silent mode, please. Guest of Honor, Minister Shanmugam, Chief Justice, Mr. Chan Sek Keong and Mrs. Chan, Mrs. David Marshall, Jean Marshall, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Dr. Varaprasad to give his welcome address. Thank you.
Mr. K. Shanmugam, Minister for Law and Second Minister for Home Affairs, Chief Justice Chan Sek Keong and Mrs. Chan, Professor Wong Gang Woo, Ambassador Kesavapani, Mrs. Jean Marshall, Dr. Jonathan Marshall, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues. I'll try to keep my address short because there are quite a number of speeches coming up. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you this evening on behalf of both the National Library Board, the NLB, and the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies, ISIS, to celebrate the extraordinary life and times of David Saul Marshall, Singapore's first elected Chief Minister, celebrated criminal lawyer, head of the Labour Party, ambassador to France, Spain, Portugal and Switzerland, and charismatic bon vivant, through the launch of his biography and an exhibition on his life. The year 2008 marked the birth anniversary of David Marshall, and both ISIS and NLB, with the support of Mrs. Jean Marshall and her family, thought that it would be very timely to give the public a better glimpse into the life of David Marshall and his contributions to Singapore in the legal and political scene. For us at the NLB, at the National Library, this fits in very well with our role in developing further the knowledge base on the lives of key Singapore pioneers, so that Singaporeans at large can appreciate their contributions and be proud of their national heritage and identity. The collaboration between ISIS and NLB first bore fruit earlier this year with the David Marshall Symposium, which took place this year on his birthday, 12th March. The symposium was very well received with over 300 participants. The exhibition to be launched today will feature David Marshall's ancestry, his early years as a child, his education, the beginning of his legal practice, his experiences during the war, his contributions to community and politics, and finally his foray into diplomacy. Incidentally, today, 12 December, is the anniversary of David Marshall's passing. With the support of organizations and individuals, the public will get the opportunity to view personal items such as his lawyer's wig, which he donned when appearing in criminal cases. He often told his pupils that they should, I quote, never be outwigged by the Deputy Public Prosecutor. There's also a sample of letters that David Marshall wrote to his brother Mayor during his 3-month groundbreaking tour of China in 1956. These valuable letters give us a rare glimpse of life in China, which was then a very closed and insular country. These letters were subsequently transcribed and edited for publication by the late Professor Michael Leifer in Letters from Mao's China. Dr. Kevin Tan, President of the Singapore Heritage Society, has curated the exhibition, given his very extensive experience and knowledge of the subject. And he also wrote the masterful biography of David Marshall, which will be launched today. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Kevin on the publication of Marshall of Singapore, a biography. Your book will definitely give us a very insightful perspective into David Marshall's life. All of us are looking forward to reading this book. Following the exhibition, the National Library will make available a guide to the resources on David Marshall in the Singapore and Southeast Asian collection at level 11 upstairs. This guide will serve as a useful reference for those who wish to research further into the life and contributions of David Marshall. The exhibition at the National Library will subsequently travel to the public libraries and allow more people to understand the life story of David Marshall. These efforts will be made to provide a convenient gateway to information of national interest for public education. With the promotion of libraries as social learning spaces, such as this exhibition, we bring into action our Library 2010 vision to nurture learning communities in providing opportunities for scholars, researchers, students, and public figures to deliberate and exchange ideas. And we hope that you will experience knowledge being brought to life, sparking your imagination and creating new possibilities. The event today would not have been possible without the support of the Marshall family and partnering organizations. So I would like to thank Mr. Jean Marshall, Dr. Kevin Tan, Ambassador Kesopani of ISIS, St. Andrew's Village, the Jewish Welfare Board, Singapore Press Holdings Limited, and the National Museum for your efforts in putting together this showcase with us. I hope that you will enjoy the event today and find it a meaningful time to reflect on the contribution of this charismatic Singaporean pioneer, David Marshall. I wish you a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nagarpathan. May I now invite Assistant Professor Dr. Jonathan Marshall to give his reflections on David Marshall, my father.
Among my earliest memories of my father are lying curled up in bed with the sound of the air conditioning on and feeling the soft sheets while we discussed our favorite philosopher, Dr. Seuss. And as my father would explain, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head and shoes in your feet. You can steer yourself in any direction you wish. When I think of my father's life, he embodied much of that spirit for me. He was born in a fairly poor family. At times he had no shoes, and doctors wouldn't come when there were medical emergencies because they couldn't pay the bills. He wanted to be a successful lawyer, which probably seemed to some people as very unrealistic, and it required a lot of sacrifice. He may have even had tuberculosis as a result of overstudying for an exam and a scholarship, which he was too sick to actually eventually take. But he eventually did go to London and went to law school. And he confided one time that some students got together to get some money so that he could buy shoes that didn't have holes. When he eventually came back to Singapore, he had a room and was waiting to don his wig for the first time. And there were no clients. And very much, I think, at the mercy of his chief clerk, waited until there was a knock at the door one day, and a lady popped her head round and then disappeared again. And my father said, well, what was that? And the chief clerk explained that she wanted to engage him as her attorney because she had been told by a fortune teller that if she could find the man whose eyes were like those of a fish, that she could win her case. My father won the case, and the dream was born to become a successful lawyer. But it wasn't all easy, and as he explained when I was curled up in bed, wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say, but sadly it's true, that hang-ups can happen even to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch. When your gang will fly on, you'll be left in the lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. Unfortunately, my father was quite familiar with slumps. He hadn't always been approved of by the PAP, and on one occasion was disbarred from the law. He was outraged at what he felt was a miscarriage of justice, and said to the Sultan of Pahang at the time that his intentions were to go to the Privy Council to have this miscarriage of justice reversed. The Sultan wisely perhaps told my father that if indeed his intention was to set up a practice in Pahang, that would be a fine and good thing to do, but should he have any ambitions to stay in Singapore, he should think twice. My father thought twice, and he decided not to pursue that, and perhaps focus more on the family and less on things that might take him to prison. This dexterous tension between pragmatism and idealism